Welcome to the October 10th, year of our Lord 2025 edition of the Zooch and Wilde podcast. We got a really honestly underrated slate of games to talk about tomorrow. Oregon, Indiana. There's a couple of other matchups in there that we'll kind of talk about how we like it with prove it games. But Zooch, before we get into that, one thing. And this is not college football related. This is why I gave us. I gave us a couple minutes at the beginning to talk about Mark Sanchez. Man, I
I
mean,
was so
isn't that the most insane? I mean, I just hope. Look, there have been some coaches that had bad weeks this week. No one's had a worse week than Mark Sanchez.
yeah, I was in Chicago on Friday night, and one of my buddies told me Mark Sanchez got stabbed. So I was thinking that he because he was in Indianapolis. I was like, oh, okay, well he's there for the NFL game. Maybe he was like out to dinner with like people on staff or like co-hosts, whatever, and went to go back to the hotel alone or like something like people. I mean, that happens. Like sometimes you'll like people will be walking home and they get robbed or whatever. I figured that's what had happened, and then I want to say it was Saturday morning on my way to the Notre Dame game. Uh I saw that he was like being charged, and then a little bit later, all
Yeah.
the like exact details of it came out, and I was like, um, alrighty then.
No. Two things. One, I hope that the guy is okay. Two, I'm gonna wait for all the facts to come out before I start to make some real jokes about it. Three, if it does come out that he was doing like wind sprints beforehand, just like probably like just an insane thing to be doing in his age is wind sprints in an alley or sprinting in an alley. Um, Also, is it the worst hangover of all time? Like the worst anxiety of all time is waking up in a hospital bed with stab wounds and then going, shoot, I'm getting arrested now.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the majority of us have had that like hangover where you wake up the next morning and you're like, you have to like ask people, okay, what did I do last night? Like what, like you like, and then you start like slow, like legitimately like the hangover. You start like putting bits and pieces together, and there's like certain parts that you'll just never know, like what was going
Nope,
on in that moment.
you'll never know.
But yes, waking up in a hospital, I mean, like, what the hell happened? And then the cops, like, and to the people who put Mark Sanchez, saying Mark Sanchez calling the Colts game on Sunday with Hugh Freeze in the hospital bed,
Had it
enough.
on my list. Had it on my list. Just
It's
insane.
quite well, and it's the picture of the dude that he like beat was, and the story behind it is just like, I don't know, like you, like there had to have been. That's not like a one time, like I. That makes me wonder if like he doesn't have a lot going on or something, because that's not like a one time like incident type thing, I don't think,
No,
but
look, like I said, that's why I'm gonna wait for all the facts to come out because, I've had a couple pops in my day as well, and I've never wanted to be like, hey, I'm gonna like sprint up and down an alleyway, allegedly, and then like try to like fight a delivery driver. That's not allegedly. He did try to
it's a
do that.
hotel,
I
yeah.
can I can do that. I will say it is okay. This is the last thing I'll say. I'm going to use the wrong word here, so no one trust your. I don't want to get in trouble. When I heard it was a DoorDash driver, it would have been a little bit more like zany, but it wasn't a DoorDash driver. It was like a truck driver. But oh well, Mark Sanchez had a bad weekend, and honestly, we said that like no one else had a worse weekend than Mark Sanchez. James Franklin might have. I mean, Penn State loses to UCLA, the big story from last weekend. We were talking off air, and I kind of want to talk to you a little more about it. You think this is up there with like App State beating Michigan, like Louisiana Monroe beating Bama, FCS school beating like FBS school kind of loss?
Yeah, like I if you UCLA coming into that game had not led the entire year, fires their coach. On top of that, the new Heisel kid who the camera did not do him justice in that one photo that was circulating on Twitter. It had
Yeah.
him looking, yeah, that had
Yeah.
him looking terrible.
No,
And he's
he
actually
looks like his dad. He
yeah,
looks like
he's
his
like a
if there's
good looking kid.
if
Like,
there's one thing about the new Heisels is they are dorks who know ball. And it doesn't help that he kind of sounds like this, like, we were doing this and he's also
he's
just
like
a
a football
spitting image of
nerd.
no, he
Yeah,
is. This guy
like
could be a genius. Well, his dad was really smart. Like he was a good coach too. Like his dad's thing, I always made the joke. I was like, Rick Neuheisel, like great coach, but like it just like a little bit of a dork. But like that works nowadays. No, the whole thing, but credit to UCLA. A lot of people
well, did
wrote
you
Nico.
see he was saying that because he was the tight ends coach or whatever. So he said he was used to like not giving like his input
Hmm.
during games, right? And he said that there's like multiple times that he would forget to click the button to make it where he could speak to
Yeah,
Nico and call a play, and like he didn't like he was calling a play to nobody. Nobody was
yeah,
listening because his thing wasn't on, and they still it was what 42 points they put up. It
yeah.
just
No,
like and I mean it was already kind of bad after the UCLA or the Oregon loss for James Franklin because they had so much hype, and a lot of it was self-inflicted. Like they said, like, "Oh, this is the year," blah blah blah. But to go out there and lose to a team who like lost 35-10 to New Mexico,
they
and I
hadn't
mean,
had a lead all year. They hadn't had a
yeah,
lead all year.
and maybe, and I cannot think of that coach's name. The coach who got fired off the top of my head.
Foster.
Yeah, maybe he just had no clue what he was doing, and UCLA is secretly like really, really good. I highly
Well,
doubt that.
we've always said like you're in like the probably one of the would you say top 3 recruiting beds in the country.
Oh yeah,
Like there probably is like that the talent on that team is not 0-4, if that makes
yeah. The
sense.
talent is not losing 35-10 to New Mexico. Period. Like I don't, and Deshaun Foster, that was his name, right? Like I always feel bad when someone gets fired because that like it sucks. It's publicly humiliating, so on and so forth. But that's still unacceptable, and I think that should go for James Franklin too. Like I don't think James Franklin is a bad coach in the slightest, but you eventually get to a point where it's like, okay, like it's not like either. And we talked about it last week. He also hasn't even last year in the playoff run, they beat Boise State and SMU, who I think maybe outside of Indiana were the 2 worst teams in the I mean, if we're being completely honest, we're Boise State alumni. Boise State would not be in, like, a top 12 ranking of the 12 best teams last year, right? Like, SMU, closer, like, they were a Power 5 team that had 2 losses coming in or whatever it was. And then you play Notre Dame. And that's, like, to me, the kind of the difference is, like, you look at Notre Dame and you're like, "Okay, yeah, maybe, Georgia was shorthanded not having Carson back last year and wasn't as good as they had been in the years past, but Notre Dame still Marcus Freeman got that win, like, beat Georgia, and he had been getting kind of some of the same stuff too, like, "Oh, you keep losing to Ohio State, you lose to the really good teams you played," and I know they lost to Miami and, A&M this year, but
Mhm.
I just don't know what you do if you're Penn State. Like, you went
No,
from national champ like, one of the either 1st or 2nd, I think, in odds to win the
he was
national
number 2.
champion to not national championship to now you're you're probably gonna be, like, 8-4 at best. Like, I don't
No,
think
and especially
anyone
with Indiana undefeated, like, you're looking and now you're almost in, like, a position where, shoot, if Michigan gets a win over USC this weekend, which is very possible, they're only about a point underdog. Penn State's looking right now at being, what, the 5th team in the Big Ten?
yeah,
And if
they're
and maybe even 6 if you put Illinois above them, and this year, there's not gonna be 5 teams from the Big Ten that get in. The ACC's got a
no,
team,
and
Big 12's got a team, G5's got a team. and you probably got to assume maybe ACC's got 2 teams with Georgia Tech. Look, if you're Penn State, I think this truly is like we joke about it like, oh, James Franklin hot seat, James Franklin hot seat. This is like the gas level has been turned to low. It's not high, it's not even medium, but like his seat is hot now, and they're not going to fire him this year. But you know, if it's like, how many more of these can they put up with Zach? Like, Zooch? Like, I don't.
Well, and I don't even know if they will, like, I think it might get to the point where it's, like, a mutually like, they part ways because he has done extremely well there, and I don't like, there's been nothing to show, like,
Yeah,
alright, he can,
I
uh,
will.
take that like, you have seen it in other coaches who are similar to him in turn and there's a big stack of coaches, I think, right now. And Ryan Day just got off that list. They won the national championship. But I think in like a similar, if you're doing bowls of
Sark,
coaches,
Sark's on
Sark
there.
is there. I think Marcus Freeman is on there. Lane Kiffin is on there.
Is Lincoln
And
Riley on there?
yeah, I think he's on there. He, his thing to me is they've just been so bad the past couple years that I think he's on more of a hot seat, I would say, than like James Franklin. But those other guys have I mean, not as much with Notre Dame, but, like, you see, like, last year and even this year, like, Lane Kiffin beats LSU, he beats Georgia. Freeman, like I said, beat Penn State last year, beat Georgia. They're getting those wins, and like, Sark, I think, is probably the most comparable because they have been kinda similar, and they're beating the teams that they like, Texas should beat Arizona State, right? And they still went to overtime with them. Texas should win that game. But he hadn't beaten Ohio State. He lost to, Washington that first year they made the playoff. So it's like they have the same energy of like, "Alright, like, well, and I guess we'll see even more like, I think his hot seat is gonna shoot significantly higher if they don't beat Oklahoma this weekend, because I mean, you just can't unless you've won before, like, it would be one thing to me if Kirby Smart was where James Franklin's at right now,
Yeah.
right? Like, and they like, let's say they had lost to Alabama in overtime, and then they lost to Kentucky this weekend. You'd be like, "Oh, okay, like, it's disappointing, like, there's some worry," but they're only a couple years removed from being the most dominant team in football, bar none. And like Franklin and Sark just haven't gotten those. Like they have been 11, getting 11, 12 wins a year, but only beating the teams that they are vastly superior
Yeah.
in. Like
No,
I don't know. I can't think of the last time Sark at Texas beat someone who it's like, all right, this team is either even with you or
maybe
they might be
maybe
a little more
Bama,
talented.
maybe Bama that first year in the SEC, but that's about it, and that was early in the year too. I will play devil's advocate. I was listening to Tom Fernelli earlier today, and he brings up a good point where, and you've been harping on this point for about 2 years now, where it's like 97% of programs in this country would love to be where Penn State is. Like, and so if you're Penn State, you're looking at it, it's like James Franklin's going to be okay. And by that I mean they're not going to pump out complete shit. They're probably going to finish the year okay. He's still going to get good recruits. And Fernelli, he made the great comparison. I kind of want to get your last thoughts on this. To like Nebraska and Bo Pelini, where you're this like prestigious program and you got a coach in Bo Pelini who it's like, oh, we'll compete for a Big 12 title here and there, 9 wins a year. I'd say James Franklin is a little bit better than Bo Pelini. He usually gets like 10-ish wins a year. It's kind of like his margin, but it's kind of like, oh, we're Nebraska. We can do better than that. And essentially, Nebraska's been in a lull until like this year. Like,
Yeah,
so that's the fear from Penn State. It's like,
and
and
I
I
and
get it.
I
I totally get it.
Yeah, I get it too. Like, I'm not saying it's that he should be fired, but I understand the frustration from the fan base. It's like I kind of understand the from frustration from our fan base of okay, yeah, it's cool to win the Mountain West. It's cool to beat Fresno or New Mexico or whoever it is. But eventually you're like, okay, like we are loads better and have way better resources than every team in our conference. I would like to not lose by 3 plus scores every time we play a team who's better than us. Like, I'm not saying you need to win the national championship, but it's like, you know, lost by a lot to Washington. I guess Oregon was close. Got Penn State wasn't really that close. It was a 17-point game. That game Saturday wasn't all that close. It was a 21-point game. So like I understand the front. I understand both sides of the argument. I understand like he's got a great record. James Harden has a great record. He is. They're a perennial top 10 team. They'll almost most likely make the playoff almost every year under him. But they also want to win a national. They put in enough to me to expect to win a national championship. So I get why people are tired of him.
No, I totally understand it. Yeah, Penn State. We'll see how they do. Congrats to Newheisel and Skipper. Everyone's forgetting that Newheisel's not the head coach. It's hilarious. It's the John. It's Skipper. What's his first name? Who's the interim right now? But
Some
they're
yeah,
doing a hell of
Tim Skipper
they're,
maybe.
they're doing a hell of a job in the Rose Bowl right now, man. You know who knows if UCLA goes bowl eligible this year, they might as well throw a parade here
Well,
in
and
LA.
that's
I
like
want
that
to
kid
see.
might get and like that happens more than people understand, I think, with programs is sometimes somebody is calling the plays or the head coach or whatever the case might be, and there is somebody vastly superior to them that is
Could,
like the tight ends coach or
could you
the
even say that
defensive
with?
backs coach.
Doesn't even have to be vastly. It's like you kinda saw and look, I'm not saying Spencer Danielson is, like, the greatest coach in the world, but I think anyone with, like, eyes would say, like, he's a little bit better than Avalos, you know?
Oh,
Like
yeah, I mean, it's his
and
turnaround there has
same
been
th
insane, like, it's and I think there's stuff he needs to work on, like, there are rumors that maybe he was an Ashton Genty merchant. We will see.
we
But
will see. We could actually spend a couple minutes to talk about this before we touch on the, Alabama Vandy game for just a little bit. Since it is nationally televised, Boise State versus Notre Dame. 2 things. 1, I think Spencer Danielson right now, he's like it's almost like he's learning as he's going. And it stinks because like the fans trying to put this. He's learning as he's going, which stinks because it's like we expected a lot this year and kind of forgot, holy shit, this is his second year as a head coach. And he had the best player, I would say, since Joe Burrow played college football on his team last year. Because, like, what I will say about him is that, like, he says, like, right after the game, like, "Hey, like, I'm gonna defend, like, oh, the right receivers aren't getting open, like, it's whatever." And then he gets to the press conference on Monday and he says, like, "Actually, you know what? They were a little open." Like, that's someone who's, like, learning, and I think this offseason, and I think you can agree with me, is gonna be very, very telling. Like, this offseason and the fall camp 2026 for Boise State will be very telling about Spencer Danielson and the fact that there are holes on this team. There are amazing things on this team. He has resources to fix those problems. Does he pull the trigger in fixing those problems, or at least maybe adding spices to the recipe to try to improve it, if that makes sense? Quarterback competition, maybe. Maybe pushing a little bit like last year he did.
yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna have to because, like I said, I went to that game Saturday, and yeah, there was a moment where it's like, okay, Boise State is up 7-6 here, but I think anyone being real about that was like, all right. I mean, I think I looked up in the fourth quarter, and Notre Dame had like 400 and some yards of offense on 50 ish plays. I think it was less than 55. Put it to you this way: you watch the game. Boise State had a stop on 4th and goal, and then Notre Dame, CJ Carr missed a guy that was wide open on like a
Yep.
fourth. No, and part of that was too, and I think it should be a little bit telling to the fan base is I don't know if that was Miami or A&M if Notre Dame isn't kicking the field goal there. Does that make sense? Like maybe
Yeah,
not as
no.
much on the 4th and goal. On a 4th and 8, I don't think Notre
No,
Dame's going for it.
they felt like their offense could go toe to toe with our offense. They probably felt that as long as they keep Boise State under 19 points, they win the game.
Yeah, and that's another side to it is they have Boise State, the 2 good teams they have played have held them to 7 points on offense,
There's
USF,
issue.
and, the defense has taken a lot of crap for a while now, and deservedly so. I mean, I think the defense was okay, like, yeah, allowing 28 points is fine, but, like, you're expecting them to get, like, 40 something points, and they, in reality, weren't that far off of getting 40 something points, it's like a play here or there, but still credit to them, held them to 28 points. But that has been more so the issue this year to me is offensively, it's like, okay, Eastern Washington is horrible. They just lost to Montana or Montana State like 56-3. App State's not good. Air Force, their defense is like seriously like the worst in the nation. So that's what I'm curious to see when you're talking about changes is does it get to this thing where it feels like it's been for the past few years of we won the Mountain West, we don't need to make any changes, which is fine. I get that. However, you have to get either receivers who can get open, which has been a problem, or you're gonna have because you're not gonna have another Ashton Genty. I hate to break it to the BSU fan base, that is a once in a lifetime type talent. Like, you've seen it this year. We were supposed to be running back by committee and guys have been hurt, yada yada yada.
Well,
I get that. Fact of the matter is none of them are Ashton Genty or even close to Ashton Genty. And you weren't just and even last year against Penn State, they scored 14 points, and offensively, they just haven't but, like, they're gonna have to score in all like, they're not gonna beat Georgia 14-10, right? They're not gonna beat Notre Dame 14-10. You don't have the talent, and you're not gonna get the talent on defense to do that. So you gotta offensively be a little bit more creative, and that's been a problem I've had with them lately is it's just, like, a lack of creativity on offense, and it's like, even the one touchdown that they had against Notre Dame, it was like there's a few penalties in there. It seemed like it was all they could muster to get down the field on that one drive. So, we'll see. I mean, I still have, like, a lot of hope for them. I do think the fan base needs to stop worrying about the playoff and worry more about what's in front of them. Not sure you wanna make the playoff because I don't think the
oh
team
no,
you
they're
have
out. They're out of
yeah,
the playoff
you
now.
haven't beaten it would be a lot of things would have to happen for them to even get back in that conversation, and I'm not even sure you want that right now because you don't wanna just continuously, like, have a list, like and people can talk about the like, all the advanced metrics they have and crap now. What people look at is the freaking scoreboard, and when they look and see, like, 17-point loss to Penn State, 21-point loss to Notre Dame, 27-point loss to USF, that's what they see. They're not gonna be like, "Oh, well, you drove down the field 4 times against, uh, South
Ye-
Florida, and you shoulda had
Yeah,
more point." No one looks at that. I'm just like
that's true.
and
No,
if they're being honest with themselves, they don't look they look at the score of games and be like, "Oh my god, San Diego
no,
State's getting killed," like
that's funny. Um, yeah, no, I agree. I think Boise State. They're just we'll see. Like I said, this offseason is going to be very telling. But quickly touch on the Bama and Vandy game. Uh, I think you were right. Not the best idea to have a look. Love Johnny Manziel, great podcast, but maybe not the guy to have on your sideline, especially when he's talking to fans on Alabama on your sideline while you're down. But I had two takeaways from this game. One, other than the fact that Alabama is completely back in the running for a playoff spot now, is one, Ty Simpson looks like a Heisman contender. He is, I think, if you had to put a Heisman front runner, he might be the guy right now, Zooch. And Vandy, they just shot themselves in the foot, man. I mean, it just seems like it was mistake after mistake after mistake, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was similar in a lot of ways to the Boise Notre Dame game in terms of you are not talented enough to play poorly and beat these teams. Like that's just the fact of the matter. Like you can't have multiple turnovers at Vanderbilt and be like, "Yeah, yeah, we're gonna beat Bama." Like Bama does that to you. Like
Hmm.
that, like Bama is Bama and Georgia and Ohio State are the teams that can have 3 or 4 turnovers and the game still be close. And I mean, I still think Vandy's a good team. I do think it got a little bit cringy, like, and I get it. The kid's trying to like make his money while he can, Diego Pavia, but like the kneel down.
That was so bad. I knew it was going bad when I saw that. I mean, you just cannot do that, especially with the ball throw. I'm just look. He should be glad Kalen DeBoer was coaching that team and not Nick Saban, because like Nick Saban like would have said like some like Winter Soldier type like code in like Reuben Foster's ear, and Pavia would probably like be on like a feeding tube. Honestly, I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, and granted, I didn't get to see a ton of this game because it started right as the Notre Dame game started. But I think if you're Vandy, you still, I mean, that was much more of a game that Bama needed to win than Vandy. And I think Vandy put, like I said, they looked. It wasn't that long ago that Vandy lost that game 59-0 to Alabama when the
Hmm.
dude was like, Bama, we're coming. And if you look at it now and you're like, we beat them last year, and this year we were in a relatively close game. Because didn't Alabama score uh, at the very end to like make it a 2-score game? I think I read that or saw that. I don't remember. So we'll see how they do. Like Clark Lee's a good coach. I think they want to do everything they can to keep him. And based on some games we're going to talk about a little bit later, there might be some SEC jobs that more than one that are
No, there will be.
opening up.
No, there might be. Let's move on to the just quickly before we get into our next games. The upset of the week, Zooch. Who do you have as your upset coming up this week?
My up, excuse me, my upset of the week. I usually have it on my phone, but I have the Stankies on my phone for no reason other than to torment myself. I did see Big Cat's upset of the week. Wink, wink, is Washington State over Ole Miss.
Is that a cover
However,
spread upset? Is that a cover spread upset or is that a straight up upset?
no, it was Kiffin was on their podcast a couple weeks ago and was saying that he needed them to like give him some bulletin board material for the
Oh.
rest of the season. So, but I'm actually going, and I think just based on how this year is going, I don't think you can really trust anyone. I know a lot of people say Ohio State, and that's the team I think you can trust the most. But I'm going Arkansas over Tennessee this week
Ooh.
with my upset. I think that I mean, that Tennessee defense has looked susceptible to both Georgia and Mississippi State. And Arkansas, I think sometimes they can give you a fresh wind to get a new coach in there. Like I don't want to say, and I like Sam Pittman. I don't want to say he did lose the locker room or whatever, but you kind of got that feeling in that Notre Dame game. And maybe like now you're playing with house money. It's like you're not worried sick that every time you lose, your coach is going to get fired. He's already gone. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to go Arkansas and an upset over the Vols.
That's a good one. No, the resident Tennessee fan Sean will not like that one. But I for my upset, I'm going Arizona over an undefeated BYU. Brett Brennan's got these guys playing. Remember, this is an Arizona team. They returned a lot of their talent from that team last year that was picked a dark horse to win the Big 12. Seems like they just needed another year to get everything together. And look, BYU's good. They get it. And I love Kalani Sitake, but what do I always say? I say it almost every week on the show. College football, more than any sport, you can learn from the past more to predict the future. So Kalani Sitake, these October, November games, when he's ranked to like an okay-ish team, I've seen him blow it before. We saw him blow in person with Boise State of like 4 or 5 years ago. Like these are the games that BYU is at a funky night game. It's like 5:30 West Coast start. Like this game's going like this is the game where you're watching like when you first get to the bars at like 9:15 and like no one really is there yet and they still have like the games going on the TVs instead of like music videos and you're like, "Oh shit, BYU's about to lose right now?" Like that's how I see this game going. But yeah, I got Arizona over BYU as my pick. But man, we got some awesome games tomorrow. And let's talk about the first one coming in the Big Ten. We got Oregon versus Indiana, and essentially a Big Ten eliminator game. Would you say a Big Ten championship eliminator game?
Well, I would think so until Penn State lost to freaking UCLA. Because like, I mean, theoretically, still yes. I would say I think it's more of an eliminator for Indiana, just based on who Oregon has left on their schedule.
Hmm.
But I think if Indiana beats Oregon, then Oregon, like, you would still be a little bit concerned, but you got Rutgers, Wisconsin, uh, Iowa, Minnesota, USC at Washington. Not easy. I'm not trying to say it's easy, like, Washington doesn't look horrible, but relatively easy compared to, like, you don't get Ohio State, you don't get
Hmm.
Michigan, blah, blah, blah. And then for, um, Indiana, they still got Penn State. I mean, theirs isn't much tougher, honestly, now that I'm looking at theirs might actually be easier. They get Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. So, like,
No, this like the winner of this game looks like they could make the Big Ten championship. And also on a personal, like individualized note, this is a game for Fernando Mendoza. If he goes out and balls out, he's a front runner for Heisman, which is crazy to think about, right? But stat wise, he's up there. Like people talk Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, uh, he's right there with them. Like Fernando Mendoza, and we saw him when he was playing at Cal. Solid quarterback, man, and he's in a system and Indiana, they with Signetti, they play. It's so crazy to think that this team can be better than last year's team, but like kind of doing some like research on them as they've kept winning, it's like they returned a lot of those guys from last year's squad. Like they didn't really have to do a lot, and I would say they improved at the one position. Like I was never truly impressed with Curtis O'Rourke last year, if I'm being honest with you. Like I think it is a massive upgrade to have Mendoza at quarterback. And I think it's going to be a real test for Indiana. You know, they got blown out in what all three kind of big games they had last year. So this is kind of an opportunity to kind of right the wrong to be like, hey, we are legit. It wasn't just a fluke. We aren't just like a very good team. We are an elite team.
yeah, it's similar to me in that because not last year, the year before. Do you remember when Ole Miss went to Georgia and Ole Miss was like 8-2? I want to say it was towards the end of the season. 8-2. Uh, Played Georgia in Athens and got just like killed. It was like 56 to like 24. So it was the game wasn't close, is what I'm getting at. And then the next year, everyone was like, "Oh, okay, like this is the prove it year for Ole Miss." Granted, they had the bad losses, but then Georgia came there, and Ole Miss beats Georgia. I think that's similar to Indiana. Like last year, they have a good season. They do lose to all the good teams they play, and this is their first. I guess Illinois. Maybe like some people think Illinois is pretty good. I think they're fine, but this is the first. Like I think this. If it's close, I think that's very good for Indiana. If they get killed though, and then they like, let's say they lose to Penn State or someone like that, I don't know that they'll get in. I really don't. Like you'll just look at it and be like, they did like, and the issue for like Indiana is going to be so many of the teams in the SEC that could be have a similar like they're 10-2, uh, are going to have so many good wins, and the Indiana just won't have those type of wins. So
Okay, well, I mean, I guess they'll have Illinois. That's like that'll be a bit better than last year, but no, like you said, they won't have that signature signature win. But who do you have winning this game and why?
I got Oregon. I think Dante Moore is very, very, very good and
He's playing
hasn't
himself into
gotten.
being a first round pick. Like he's
Yeah, and
playing
he
himself
had,
into being a first round pick.
and I think it is like a little bit like you always hear about like the East Coast bias thing, and I think that does ring a little bit true for like a lot of teams, just because they do play at funky times. A lot of the times, and Oregon is a big enough program to where they have night games and stuff like that a lot of the time that will be going on at the same time as like the ABC headline game or whoever's on ESPN, whatever the case might be. But yeah, I like Oregon in this game. I think Oregon, but like I said, I mean, I don't know. Like I thought that Penn State win was good, and now I'm like questioning that. So
I think the Penn State was good. Whiteout is always at worst it can't be bad, but I also have Oregon in this game. I think Dante Moore. I think, and also I think that defense is so underrated at Oregon. Like Mateo Ugialele is legit. It's a player you will be seeing on Sundays making plays. So yeah, I also got Oregon. But Zooch, you mentioned I kind of wanted to keep this next segment vague because you kind of alluded to it. You think there are some coaches or a couple of teams that need to prove it this weekend, or the fan bases are gonna start to get the pitchforks riled up, or maybe the seats under these coaches' butts might get a little hotter. What are a couple prove it games you have going into
well,
this week, or a
the
couple of
main one,
games?
and it's on both sides, is Oklahoma, Texas.
That's what I
Like
got.
I don't. If you're Sark and you lose that game, and really that whole program, it is
You're out
big yikes.
of the
Big,
of the,
yeah,
you're out of the playoff, and it looks like you might have missed on Arch.
yeah, and they were another like, and they'll keep reloading their Texas, but if you said that they had 3, like, and you kinda had some hope after the Ohio State game, you're like, "Okay, like, I can accept that." It's Arch Manning's team now. He had started before, but it's still hard to go into Ohio State and win. The Florida one, like, and I think Florida's a very talented team, but I don't think, like, they're very good. Like, they just I mean, I like they were 1-3 coming into that game. Like their offense literally looked like it couldn't move the ball at times. And for Brent Venables, and I understand Mateer might be out, but and you see this, we talk about it all the time. Like they're still uh not like Brent Venables has gotten himself off the hot seat in name only because they are ranked so high. But people are gonna look at it and be like, "Oh, you lost to Texas," who really, I mean, and the same goes for Penn State, they haven't beaten shit. Like, I can't e like, they beat who? Sam Houston State, San Jose State, and I can't even.
Villanova,
Yeah,
they
like,
just pissed me Villanova.
I can't even think of the 3rd team Texas has beaten. So, that's a big one, and then I also think Brian Kelly's in a big one with the South
South
Carolina game
Carolina game. No,
because
that's a sneaky,
they've had
sneaky
the bye week. and it'll be interesting to see what they did with that. Can they and it goes for really all 3 of those teams, Texas, Oklahoma, and LSU. None of them can run the ball. Offensive lines have looked suspect. You got like, not as much for Oklahoma in terms of play, but you have quarterback questions at both LSU and especially, Texas. Like, I think Nussmeier's and I mean, it's part of Arch Manning too, like, neither one of them are getting a lot of time to throw, and they don't have a like, it is so hard. I don't think some people get how hard it is, specifically in the SEC, to play offense if you have no run game.
Yeah, the
Those
DBs
guys
are
are
too good. Yeah,
yeah, the DBs are too good, and the lines are too good, and everyone is fast, so it's like, you're not getting, you know, Jack White that you would get playing Baylor as the running back covering your 3rd best receiver. You're getting a linebacker who is quick or another defensive back who is quick that can cover that guy, so when you can't run the ball, you run into a multitude of issues. So those are the biggest ones. I guess at
I
Indiana, I
I
got
like
on
that
there
one.
too.
I had Venables. I think you got to throw that in. Talk about him. This is kind of like his first like you're the you're the big dog. Like you got to like punch a team while they're down. He's kind of had these would you say like lulls, like you said, where he's on the hot seat, off the hot seat, on the hot seat, off the hot seat, and he's off right now. Unfortunately, like it will be interesting to see how the whole Mateer thing plays out. Because like, if does he come back? Does he come back like too soon? Is he like fully healthy right now? Did Doctor Shin work the miracles? Shout out to the people who are making Doctor Shin edits. Those are great. I just want to say that. Those are just exquisite edits. But yeah, no, a lot of teams have to prove it this week, man. But I really liked Brian Kelly one, and also Shane Beamer at South Carolina. You know, you win this one. I mean, I'm looking at them again. They have, I guess they have 2 losses, but you win this one, and you're kind of this Beamer give himself like another year for sure. Because if South Carolina loses this, they're 3-3. It's like yikes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and another one, and it's I know this is SEC heavy, but even Mike Elko getting like they're at that Texas A&M point, which this is the point in the year that Texas A&M, it seems like every time they get to this point where it's like, oh, they had a good win versus so and so. Now they're playing a team who has talent. Like Florida always has talent, but they have more problems. It seems like than they have talent. Did just get a big win over Texas. So I feel like if you're an A&M fan, you're not like this is when you definitely want to like you're at the point in the season with a lot of these teams. I guess what I'm trying to say is you can like this is one of those that you win and the rest of the season you're like okay, like we've pushed back that like loss we can afford or whatever
Hmm.
and still make the SEC championship game. And even Florida, like, I know they're only 2 and 3, and I'm not saying this is gonna happen. They only have 1 SEC loss, like, which is kinda wild. I don't think they're going to the SEC. I still think Billy Napier's
Wouldn't that be the funniest thing ever if they did though?
if they made the SEC championship. So we'll see, like, with that one, it's like a and I mean, even for Billy Napier too, he got a big win. If he won again this week, you're 3 and 3, things are looking up, but if you like I don't know, I just feel like there's a big difference in being and I know it's only 1 game, but a big difference in being 3 and 3 and 2 and 4. Like,
Oh,
you win
100%.
this one and you're Florida, you still can kinda maybe you can finish 8 and 4. You lose it and you're looking like then you have 4 losses before mid-October, and things are starting to look a little bit more scary.
Yeah. No,
So,
it does not get great after that. But no, honestly, this is like a sneaky good low key weekend. Like I looked at the slate and I was like, dang, there's some like sneaky games this weekend. So I'm fired up for it.
I'm
But let's
excited
move
for
on.
this weekend.
This week's gonna be a good one. We're getting like the thick of conference play right now, which is nice. But let's move on to the list. You guys know how the list goes. For those who you who don't, it's where we find tweets online in our algorithm, since it's just all college football, and there's some funny accounts that come on in this funny little sport that we follow and love. Uh, as always, we neither support nor condemn these tweets. We just bring them to you. We are the reporters showing you what we see. I'm going to start it off this week. I think you started off last week. And full honesty, man, I just got three ones about Mark Sanchez. I I got I got three ones about Mark Sanchez. The first one comes from him Riggins, awesome burner name, and it is a quote tweet of the news article that says Sanchez was acting erratically and started doing wind sprints in the alley before the stabbing occurred. Him Riggins quote tweet and just goes, "Bro was racked, jail, jail for him Riggins." Alleged him. We cannot say anything until the facts come out. So please hold off on that joke
Hold
until
off on the
the facts come
judgments.
out. This
My
next one
first
comes
one.
from.
Oh,
Oh,
go
go for
ahead.
it.
Sorry.
No,
My
let's do a
first
little
one,
some alternates
back
here.
and forth. My first one comes from someone near and dear to me. His Twitter name is @Lane_Kiffin, and he decided on Sunday to tweet out a Athlon Sports article that just says Penn State dealt unfortunate recruiting news on Sunday with a picture of James Franklin on it. He
He
knows
knows
what
what
he
he's
was
doing.
doing. That is why he got kicked out of the SEC group chats. He is the master troll.
That's funny. The next one comes from 1 dozen bats at a keyboard. Another great name, and it just says no one space Mark Sanchez when he's 6 beers deep and sees a DoorDasher double parked, and it is the all-time screenshot from the news article, and it says quote from man stabbed. What are you gonna do? Stab me? Jail, jail. And he's
There's
Mark Sanchez has been through enough.
there's a lot of Mark
He already had
Sanchez
the
one.
butt fumble.
I do have one. It's not football related, but it was too funny not to share. It comes from @Skipper's Dugout, and it is a picture of the ALDS, like the guys calling the game, and it's
Oh no,
Adam. I mean Adam Wainwright and AJ
I know
Perinsky,
where
and it
this
just
is
says,
going.
"When did Cash Patel and JD Vance start working for FS1?"
That that one was a joke. That might have to be a dark horse list of the year. You did
Yeah,
come
it
on.
was it was up there.
Ah man, that's a good one. Last one I have is from Tony Roundtree, and I think you sent this one to me, Zooch. It is Mark Sanchez after getting drunk and harassing a delivery guy, and it's just a screen grab of Ricky from the hit show Trailer Park Boys. It says, "I don't think it's a big deal, but according to the police, it is." Just, and I think I know how you're gonna take us home, Zooch, because I was thinking about putting it. Is it? Are you thinking of the one that I'm thinking of?
Mine is about James Franklin once again.
Oh, so I actually will have one more after you. I just got to find who this tweet's from because it might be just. Oh my god. Okay, you do yours while I find this.
Okay.
Because
Mine, and we have used this one before, but I think for both of us, it is a video that every time
yep.
we see it, we laugh at, and it's just like so. I don't even know how it got made, but it just says it's from at the games. James Franklin when he lands back in Pennsylvania. It's the classic of the dude trying to pump gas and
Yep.
getting the chokehold.
That is probably the best reaction video of all time. Just
It's seriously.
the
I
guy.
was on the train going from South Bend to Chicago, and I literally laugh every time I see it.
Oh my gosh. All right, let me find this. Okay, I have it because it is. Yep, here it is. This one's from at Pork Chop by 90. Game it is a Gamecock Pork Chop, and he tweets, "This one means more. Beat LSU. Hashtag BKKAK." And for those of you who don't know what BKKAK stands for, it's Brian Kelly, a kid. And this guy game chop by pork chop photoshopped what is it, the raising of the flag at Iwo Jima,
Yeah,
but instead of the flag it is a forklift, and instead of US Army soldiers it appears to be South Carolina Gamecocks players, including Lenore Sellers. I mean, just what are we? I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm not gonna share it, but just go to Game Chop Pork Chop. Anytime I can see some Brian Kelly memes, I'm happy. Sorry to our resident LSU fan, Ryan Euros.
It's it's he deserves to be mean because he did something to a kid.
He did. You can read into it, and it's a joke, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. But it's also, yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, there's like a whole account dedicated to Brian Kelly killed a kid. It's This is crazy. There's an entire account that just retweets like Brian Kelly forklift memes. Jeez Louise. And they say
I hate to see
that's
what they are if they lose to South Carolina this week.
it could be really bad down there in Baton Rouge. But let's quickly move on to last segment of the show, the meme matchup of the week. Zooch, the meme matchup of the week for me is Diego Wilde versus Toxicity. I am going to be at the USC Michigan game this Saturday. Going with some family, big SC fans. Might meet up with some buddies who are SC fans. And I think in any other scenario, I'd be rooting against USC. I got to be completely honest with you. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I also want USC and Michigan fans to realize they are the same person.
They are the same person.
Smug, a little bit arrogant, damn good at what they do. And if I wish, part of me wishes
Which,
Michigan
speaking of
hadn't.
smug, I just sorry to interrupt. In our section of the BSU Notre Dame game, there was a Notre Dame grad there who found out that some of our fans are easy to get, baited in, and would just and I was laughing, like some of the people I was with were laughing because he was really just like most people I will say were like having a good time. A couple people did not know that he was being kind of tongue in cheek, and some of us thought there was a penalty that should have been called on Notre Dame, and he started with that must be that state school education coming into play, talking about boys. We were laughing, and he was like, it was clear that he was like joking because then he'd be like, oh, like if it was like a terrible call, like, oh, good call, ref, good call, stripes. A couple of the Boise State fans were not aware that this was tongue in cheek. So he was a little smug, but he was doing it
Well,
out of
then
love.
what you got to say? What I would say is, in the future, to those Boise State fans, instead of yelling and getting defensive, what I would have said was, "That's rich coming from." Shoot, I can't think of anything. He would have got me. I probably would have been. See, like in that scenario, you just have to view yourself as Matt Damon in Goodwill Hunting, and then you just got to be like, I'm trying to think of what I would say. What do you think the best response to that? That's that state school education.
I think you just got to
Oh,
laugh.
you,
And
okay. Ask, and you can be honest because I don't know this guy. And I don't know what he looks like. Was this man? That's a burp, but it plays into this. Was this man out of shape, like fat? Like was he a larger man?
no, he was like probably my age, younger guy, like there with a couple of his buddies. They're doing their yearly
Shoot,
ND alumni get together.
dang. Because then what I would have said, the response is, hey, if it's hey, that's state school education. You stare at his gut and you go, that's that Midwest eating, fat boy. That's probably the best response you can have.
Yeah,
But
you got
because he wasn't, you just gotta go touche, brother. You got me.
yeah, you just laugh and be like, "That was a good one. That was a good one." That's how you got to
But
be
yeah, no,
sometimes.
I'm going to Michigan, USC. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I can't wait for these two fan bases to interact. I don't. There's a lot of Michigan grads down here, so I think the Michigan grads who live in LA are gonna be fine. If there's any people from Michigan flying to LA for this game, I think they're in a rude awakening for what they're gonna experience. First of all, USC, we joke about UCLA being in Hills and all of that. USC is smack downtown, like Hollywood, South Central, Koreatown, downtown, like they're gonna be in for it. Like USC up until like 20 years ago, they told you like don't walk off campus kind of deal. Like it's in South Central LA,
Yeah,
and the Coliseum
be
does
careful.
not. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, Michigan fans, have a good time though. Have a good time. It'll be fun.
Everyone, I guess the last thing I'll say is everyone have a good time this weekend. We're gonna be at the midpoint of November. I mean, sorry, October. Season's gonna be over. Bye week. People are already having their bye weeks. You're gonna start seeing teams become bowl eligible this weekend. It's gonna be over soon.
I know it's crazy, man. The season goes by too fast, man. It really does. I think this literally is like the midway point for a lot of teams. Week 7, 6. Dang, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it, man. But Zooch, you got anything else? You got
Nothing
your new
else. I
matchup?
guess just
Nothing
enjoy the
else?
weekend. The weather's starting to get a little cooler. It's a good time of the year.
It is. All right. With that, we thank you all for listening. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on the Instagram at Settle Down Media. We will see you all next week. Peace, peace.